All right, thank you for staying with us here on KCTV 5 Plus. Take a look at your screen right now. I-35 northbound at West Penway. It is not looking good at all this morning. Taylor Johnson here with Bill Hurlbrink. I mean, you just pulled this up, Bill. This is interesting.
Yeah, we've heard that there's been some issues on 670, but this is a common spot here in Kansas City. If you've lived here for more than a few months, you know that if we ever get a heavy snowfall or if we ever get heavy rain, that northbound I-35, there just before the southwest corner of the downtown loop, just becomes a parking lot. Looks like several trucks are having problems making it up the hill. Some of the cars are actually able to make it, so the trucks are stopped and the cars are slaloming in between the trucks to get to where they're trying to go. So that just timed out there. But
and that's something you want to be careful with.
Exactly. So folks are out there trying to pass through that. And this is just one of the many cameras. Let's go ahead and just take a tour through some of these cameras around town so you can get an idea of what the highways are looking like. So again, that was just in the southwest corner of the downtown loop. Let's go take a peek at 670 over here. There is hardly anybody out on 670 at all. If that will go ahead and take for me, but of course it's not now.
But you can even see just how the map is looking. All the red, and then all these yellow signs you see are incidents on the road, whether there's crashes, stalled vehicles, all across the metro.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and I'm going to try to get a couple more of these to come back up here, Taylor, but unfortunately it looks like the scout system might be overloaded here at the moment, just given because probably everybody's trying to log on and
see what's going on.
Routes out there. Yeah, we're not getting any of them to come up here, but I know we do have some live pictures coming from the First 4 and 5 weather tracker right now.
Yes, so our Gabby Luma, she is actually on I-35. Last time I checked, she was going southbound, which looked like the better side to be on the interstate. All right, Gabby, I'm sure you probably saw what we just saw, especially at West Penway, just the way that the traffic is backed up there due to the snow. How is it looking where you are right now?
Yeah, Taylor, right now we are actually on I-35, yes, southbound, approaching the Metcalf exit here on the northbound. We just drove past downtown all the way down to Southwest Traffic Way. An absolute mess, total parking lot, multiple semis are stalled over there, and you can see other cars that are also stalled as well. So avoid that area if possible. Again, that's I-35 going northbound. Up across like through downtown. I mean, in front of us, you can see people are going pretty slow. We're going slow as well, only about 35-ish miles an hour. And when we were driving just past downtown where that big cluster is on I-35 northbound, we were going probably 25, 30 miles an hour, and it was just almost a complete standstill on the other side of the roadway. And visibility is definitely not great right now. It hasn't been great throughout the morning, so anyone who's just getting out, shoveling out that snow from your car, be careful, stay aware of your surroundings, and go slow as this snow continues to pack the streets, and you really can't see what lane you're in, can't see what's under you. Just a scary driving situation today, guys.
Hey, Gabby, have you seen any snowplows out there currently where you are along I-35? I know you're coming down through the Kansas side now, but is anybody out there that you can see currently plowing and or treating the roads?
I wasn't able to see any necessarily on I-35 in the last maybe 10 minutes that we've driven on here, but I did see many throughout this morning as we've driven. I mean, we've kind of been all over up the Northland. We saw at least 4 or 5 this morning, and I know that there are plenty of those plows going out. They were laying salt as well this morning. We were at one of those salt domes where some of those trucks were leaving, but right now not seeing any plows on the roads, at least where we are.
Yeah, well, hopefully they can get out there soon and really get some work done. I know we've seen several of those semis not being able to travel on the interstates. And just give us an idea real quick, maybe just about how fast, I know you're not driving, but if you wouldn't mind just checking over on the speedometer, how fast you guys are being able to travel out there on the highways.
Yeah, right now we're barely hitting 30. Like I said, when we were on I-35, barely going maybe 35, 40 miles an hour. And when we were kind of driving past that really large stretch of standstill traffic, we were going probably about 30 miles an hour as well. And now we're kind of going up a hill. Our tires have given us kind of a little bit of grief in just some areas because it's been a little slippery out there. But we're taking it slow, trying to go go slow and be as safe as we can.
Yes, that's the important thing here, Gabby. Thank you so much. What we want to do, as we've been talking about I-35, take a look at this.
Oh
I-35
wow.
northbound at Southwest Traffic Way. It doesn't even look like anybody's moving at all. We see
No.
some folks trying to maneuver a little bit over to the far right, but that's not looking good. I mean, even the visibility from the camera, you can hardly see.
Now, if you recall, this is when we first showed you I-35 and West Penway right before, as we started the stream here this morning. Now, this is just to the south of this. So this is all traffic trying to get to downtown. And again, at the very bottom of your screen there, if you kind of look behind the banner,
Let me see
you
if I
can
can
just
move
see
this
a
down.
bunch of trucks just bundled up together there. There's only traffic moving on the far right shoulder, right side of that road. Again, northbound traffic is moving away from us. The headlights that you see on the left side of your screen are southbound traffic, so at least that's moving a little bit, but that northbound traffic, it is just a standstill trying to get into the downtown loop here this morning just after 10 o'clock, and it's going to be a mess until they can get that cleared up. They're going to have to salt those overpasses. They're going to have to plow them so that truck traffic can get moving. That's truck traffic that's stalled out there. That's really what's causing the issues there along I-35. You know, is just trying to get those trucks going, and once they get going, they can start to get rest of the interstate traffic moving. But as long as those trucks are sitting there stalled, it is going to be a parking lot, unfortunately, out there on I-35.
And you know what, Bill, the challenge with it too is that all those vehicles being stuck right there, how are the plows going to be able to get the treatment down with the way that it's looking in those conditions? So what we're going to do is just give you guys a quick live look over Union Station from our National World War I Museum and Memorial camera. We're going to have meteorologist Stevie Stevenson come in and give us the latest updates in the timeline. And just want to advise you, based on what we're seeing, if you do not have to go anywhere today, it might be best for you to stay home. It's not looking too great right now. So
definitely some lower visibility as we look out on the crossroads in the Midtown area here. And again, this is kind of still towards the beginning of this snow event. The First 4 and 5 weather team has been tracking this system since last week, expecting it to last for a bulk of the day. So I know Stevie's been diving into some of the latest data, so has Luke Doris, and they're going to be by here in just a few moments to give us an update about when we can expect this snow to maybe wrap up, and we can get these plows out there. We can get these roads cleared up so people can get where they need to go, because I know as much as we say try to stay home if you can, a lot of us have to get out and go to work, or have to go,
or try to get home.
Go get the kids from school, because a lot of the schools didn't cancel today. Now, there were some on the east side and north side of town that did, and we do have a list of those closings at kctv5.com if you want to stop by there. But yeah, there's still a lot of folks that need to get out and get things done later today, so hopefully they can get out here shortly once those plows really are able to get some of those primary and those secondary routes cleared, so folks can get out and about.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to take a quick break, and when we'll come back, we will have your weather update.
Let's take another live look outside from our National World War I Museum and Memorial camera. You can see that snow coming down actively. That snowfall has really even started to pick up over the past couple of hours. We've talked a lot about that heavier snow band that did start off earlier than anticipated, which has already started to bring about accumulations on not only the grass, but the road too. So hazardous road conditions already out there. I know I ran into issues 3 hours ago when I came into work. There were already some slick spots. Everybody was going very slowly. We'll continue to be monitoring those road conditions with you, with our very own Taylor Johnson and Bill Hurlbrink, and what other closures we're watching through the rest of your morning and through your Monday as a whole. But first, let's talk about the weather side of things. The forecast here that we're monitoring, it's a first warn weather day in play if you haven't heard already, as we are monitoring higher impacts from this snowstorm that is pushing through. Of course, that brings us our first accumulating snow of the season. It's already on the ground outside. Hazardous road conditions, and this could even bring record-breaking snow for today. So another look outside shows us that snow actively falling. You can hardly see out on our Midwest Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing camera. And let me set things up. Let me tell you what's happened so far today, what's the same, and what has changed with the forecast. So first, what's unchanged is we're still looking at snow most of the day. That's from now through the rest of the daytime hours. That does look to taper back into the evening, but from now until then, light to moderate snow. Also, first warn weather day includes the fact that we've had some changes, including a morning burst of snow that has started to boost totals, and those end of day totals that we're monitoring and that we all really want to know about. Those end of day totals are what could bring today as being a record snowfall event, but also just further worsening those road conditions that are already incredibly poor out there. So we're watching that. This is what the latest data is showing us. If you take a look at your screen here, you can start to see those darker blue colors populating on the map. That's more moderate snowfall, which we are seeing all around the Kansas City metro right now, and which is further boosting those snow accumulations. I've already seen a recorded snowfall total in the northeast corner of town at 2 inches. So this snow is accumulating quickly. The Kansas City metro, we're looking at higher accumulations than originally anticipated because of that morning boost I've mentioned. But if we play this out over the past couple of hours, you can see how that blue color really has been streaming in from the west. That is that moderate snow that we've been dealing with throughout your morning commute. And as we go through the rest of your Monday, we are just going to further bring up those snow totals and continue that moderate snowfall that we see outside on the map. If you look out to the west over towards Topeka, you can start to see some clearing out there, but this does not look to be all of the snow that we find today. In fact, the system will continue for several more hours, continuing to worsen those road conditions. Now, we're not the only ones watching this. The National Weather Service has issued this winter weather advisory for the majority of our area. They've actually had it in place for a couple days now. So that advisory over on the eastern side of I-35 does stretch until 9 p.m. tonight, but the Kansas City metro along I-35 and the western side of that goes in place until 6 p.m. because this snow will clear out from west to east. Moving forward and looking at your snowfall potentials over the next several hours, this is what we're finding. We're in the peak of it. We're now in the thick of it, and we'll continue to be in that same position through the late morning into the early afternoon and even into the mid-afternoon hours. So that's where snow chances are 80, 90, in fact 100%. We'll just say it outright before that snow does start to taper off through the evening, and then we start to find that snowfall stopping, but that accumulation, of course, still being on the ground. We have below freezing temperatures all day long today, which means that we are likely to be having those accumulations stick with us for several hours, even after that snow is actively falling. I think by the time we get towards tomorrow morning, we will be looking a lot better out there, but could still be slick because we will have freezing temperatures again tonight. Here's that increase of snowfall potential that we have been monitoring with you. Our models are finally grasping what happened this morning with that larger snow burst, and can still start to see how that pushes accumulations upwards to an inch or two by the time lunchtime rolls around. Now, in some spots, this has already happened, but we will continue to add to these snow totals through the morning, but then even more so in the afternoon. Check out how we start to see those potential snowfall numbers start to grow into that 3 up to 4 inch range, especially in the metro, but areas north too. Areas north could also start to find this heavier banding setup. We've been monitoring for where that heavy banding looks to go for several days now, but now it's finally locking into view just like it did yesterday. It still looks to be on the northern side of town, but maybe even just north of the metro as a whole. So in that area you see there in that yellow circle on your screen, we're talking a narrow band, potentially with totals 4 to 6 inches. That would be our highest totals that we find of the day, and with that higher total that we've already started off our morning with, this is something that we will have to watch very closely because there's already a good amount of snow to then build off of later on today if that heavier banding does set up in the early afternoon. So that will be a spot that we are watching incredibly closely. But of course, here are a couple different scenarios which really depend on where you're located today. So check it out. For our areas just south of the metro and south of I-70, more or less, we're talking about 1 inch to 2 inches. In general, you look to find the least amount of snow accumulation today. But on the higher end, as I just talked about, north of the metro and in some isolated spots, we're talking small pockets and maybe that heavier banding area north of downtown where we could find 4 to 5, maybe even up to 6 inches of snow today. Now again, that is the low end scenario, or rather high end scenario, but lower probability. So we'll be watching that. But for the Kansas City metro itself, most likely totals at the end of the day is going to range from about 3 to 4 inches. So that's what we're seeing, especially with the new data and that burst that we had this morning. That looks to be the most likely scenario on where we tally up that snowfall by the end of your Monday. Again, most of this snow will be steady but light to moderate, though it will continue throughout the rest of the daytime hours. If you haven't gotten outside on the roads yet, it's best if you just don't at all, because we're already seeing some slick spots out there, and those will just continue to get worse in the afternoon and evening. That will be our worst road conditions of the day as we continue to build up that snow accumulation. We stay below freezing and we continue to build even more slick spots. Areas with little hills and things like that will be difficult to travel over. And as Taylor and Bill were mentioning, there's already a lot of road closures this morning and accidents too. Now, this is not a huge snowstorm and nothing that we are really a stranger to, but we are still having impacts from it. That already is in play this morning, and that is why we are looking at a 2 out of 4 on our winter storm impact scale. This is just a different way to look at it, where it's a scale from 1 to 4, and it ranks the areas in terms of how high their impacts look to be from a winter storm. This time around, we're looking at a 2 out of 4 in the Kansas City metro and areas northward. That's where we're already seeing the highest of accumulations, and we'll continue to see those through the rest of the day. Areas just downtown, or rather just south of downtown and southward of that, mostly south of I-70, you're in a 1 out of 4 impact, which means slightly lower snow totals. That's that 1 to 2 inch range I was talking about. But for the Kansas City metro and areas north, this is what we're seeing. Light to moderate snow. We've already seen it so far today. That will continue. Eventually trying to bring us 3 to 4 inches of snow accumulation. Small area of that heavier banding just to the north of the metro, or maybe clipping that northern edge of the 435 loop, could find higher isolated totals, but we're still talking slick roads being an issue into the afternoon and evening. Please be extremely careful on the roads out there. If possible, stay home, stay off the roads all together. We will look to remedy a lot of those hazardous road concerns and those slick spots as we break into Tuesday. You can see here on your Security Bank 7-day forecast, we get above freezing for a few hours on your Tuesday afternoon, same with your Wednesday. It is still possible that we're finding slick spots early this morning, or rather early Tuesday morning, because they are going to have temperatures well into the teens. So that's well below freezing. We will have to watch for that. So still be very careful as you hit the road tomorrow. But the rest of your 7-day forecast there, not a chance of rain or precipitation at all. We do look to dry out. So once we get past Monday, things will get a lot better. Road conditions will improve. But for today, stay tuned in and stay careful on the roads out there. And Taylor Johnson will be right back.
People love the excitement of playing with others.
It opens a door for a lot of people to develop a gambling problem.
You also find that people run up credit card balances.
Chance to make a little money while you're watching the game or lose a little money.
It's a great revenue opportunity for the state.
We want to make sure we get it right. A year from now, nobody will even remember a time when there wasn't sports wagering in the state of Missouri.
All right, and it is officially over. The wait for Missourians, that is, because today sports betting is live. And for the past 3 years, Missourians had to travel all the way over to Kansas to place those wagers. Now the Show Me State is in the ballgame. KCTV5's Nathan Brennan, he joins us from Argosy in Riverside this morning, where those wagers are already being placed.
Kansas City, I'm Nathan Brennan here inside Argosy's casino, or really I should say good morning to Missouri gamblers, because sports betting is now legal in the Show Me State. You can do it from the comfort of your own home on your mobile device, or you can come here to Argosy's newest sports book. That's why Tyrone's joining us this morning. Tyrone, let's just start off by telling me a little bit more about this space and kind of what all is included here.
Totally. So 105 seats total, including the sportsbook area as well as the restaurant. We've got a full beverage menu. We play all the games, any local and national games, are kind of at our fingertips. We can do whatever you want to do from a watching a game standpoint. And again, we'll have betting hours for our live agents to be able to take your bets. And then if you're a little more seasoned of a sports bettor, we've got kiosk here that'll be open 24/7.
You've had experience opening up at Hollywood Casino on the Kansas side of the state line. What all did you learn over there and that you can now bring to this experience?
We learned, again, guests like to spend a lot more time than a traditional gaming visit, so they tend to be 3 or 4 hours, again, the length of a game. They tend to want to be in a larger group. So bring their entourage so they can kind of cheer on their favorite team. Live betting is pretty popular. So the next play or the next few plays, people kind of like to anticipate that. So you get a lot of people going back and forth to the kiosk. So we learned a lot of that, in addition to just what kind of food and beverage they like as well.
Excited about today?
Totally excited. Construction phase is done. We're excited about adding this amenity to what our guests can enjoy in Argosy. So exciting day for us. Yeah.
Thank you, Tyrone. We appreciate you so much. Again, 10 o'clock. Now it is officially open here, the Argosy Sportsbook, but you can head over to your phone and place some of those wagers because sports gambling is now legal in the state of Missouri.
Now, if you're wondering why it took so long for Missouri to get into the sports betting realm, let's go ahead and kind of walk through how we got here. So Kansas legalized sports wagering back in 2022, prompting Missouri to act on missed revenue. After years of struggle, pro sports teams and gambling companies really pushed for it, and that legislation passed by a razor-thin margin last November, but an attempt that fast-tracked before March Madness last year was blocked, delaying the launch until today.
And also several licensed sports books, they are taking bets. So you can see that full list right here on your screen. Many offer sign-up bonuses for new players, but it is important to note that Underdog did pull out of Missouri just a few days ago. The company is now focusing on prediction markets.
Well, the new sports betting law comes with built-in protections. Operators must verify ages to keep minors out. The players can set their own spending and time limits, and all winning bets are guaranteed to be paid out. The Missouri Gaming Commission oversees the entire process.
And before you start betting, know where to get help. Missouri's Gambling Addiction Helpline is free and confidential, and trained counselors, they are available 24/7 at 888-BETS-OFF, that number you see there on your screen. We do have an interview on compulsive gambling and how you can get help and knowing the signs. That's going to be coming up in the next few minutes.
Interested to hear from them for sure. Now, the major draw to this sports betting law was that a lot of this money would help fund schools, and we fact-checked where the money is going to go. Take a look at the pie chart here on your screen. So Bet Missouri projects nearly $4 billion in wagers in the first 12 months. Operators like FanDuel and DraftKings, well, they estimate that they're going to see more than $500 million in revenue, billion with a B. Now, on the tax revenue side, $5 million or 10% of the remaining money will go to Missouri's compulsive gaming prevention. Whatever is left after that, that is what's slated for Missouri schools. Missouri State Auditor estimates anywhere from $0 to $29 million in revenue will be generated. However, there's no guarantee this will increase Missouri's education budget. Lawmakers may choose to reallocate other funds. I'm not going to lie, it makes me a little bit nervous when the auditor estimates $0 to $29 million, but I'm sure you just have to have that low end somewhere. We hope this really generates a lot of money for our kids in schools.
Well, that is a really big margin, $0 to $29 million,
Yeah.
you know. All right, a big day in Missouri here for sure on two fronts. What we're really keeping an eye on this morning, though, is our weather. We're going to have an update on that coming up soon. But first, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to hear from an expert on compulsive gambling and signs to look out for. And then after that, we will have another check of the forecast. Thank you for staying with us here on KCTV 5 Plus. As we've been telling you all morning, it is a big day for the state of Missouri as sports betting is now legal in the state starting today. And we know that for some people that gambling can become an addiction, and there are ways for you to get help and to also know what signs to look out for. So here to talk with us about it this morning, we have Julia Flood, and she is with Family Counseling Center Inc. I'm sorry about that. Hi, Julia. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Hello, how are you?
Doing well. How about you today?
Pretty good.
Good.
Thank you.
So can you just tell us first about the work that you do?
I have been a gambling counselor probably 10, 15 years maybe. I currently work as a SATOP administrator, but I specialize in gambling also.
And so with that,
So
I'm sorry.
So I counsel individuals who, one, calls the bets offline or seeks help through individual, like calling our offices and seeking help.
And so with the work that you do, what are some of the common signs that a person should look out for when it comes to compulsive gambling? How do they know if they may need to seek help?
If they're betting more than they can afford, or they're lying to family members, or they feel like their gambling's out of control, like as in time wise. So like if they're spending, like if they plan to go to gamble for an hour and they spend 5 hours, or they bet more than they plan to. That's a lot of the biggest issues is people get into the fantasy that this is everybody's going to win, but that's not necessarily the case. So if you start finding yourself spending more and more time chasing your losses, or more and more time online gambling or betting to get ahead, those are signs that could be triggers.
And Julia, let's talk a little bit about, since Kansas has passed legalized gambling back in 2022, have you seen a growth of more people reaching out for help, or maybe just a growth of people needing help in general? And do you have any expectations of what Missouri may see now that it's legal in both Kansas and Missouri here as we move forward in the next few months?
Well, I know us as a treatment center, we've been asking the 2 live bet questions. And when we ask the 2 live bet questions to every person that comes to our treatment center, I have found more and more in the last year that are seeking and needing gambling, that are using it with other addictions, or that are their gambling's out of control. I feel that with the more advertisement, because you can't even hardly watch a football game without them advertising it now. With more of the advertisement, casinos are pushing it. I think that you'll see more and more people who start struggling with it as it gets, more open and people are doing it.
And I know that there are some people who might be in denial about being a compulsive gambler, especially when you talked about the signs earlier, like chasing after that next win and things of that nature. Maybe they think, I'm okay, it's just one more. How do you work with people through that to come to terms with the fact that this actually could be a reality in their life?
Well, a lot of people are in denial because of the stigma people put with it too. It's just like any addiction, anyone can become addicted. But a lot of it, you have to kind of get people to understand that what is in the norm. If you go to, say, you bet $5 every couple of months, that's probably not going to be the addiction. But if you're betting $5 every time you get $5, that can become out of control, which causes it to be compulsive.
What does
Or
treatment
if you
look
start
like?
borrowing from, like, for example, cash advances, loan places, and stuff like that to support the habit, or you're obsessed with it 24/7, then that's what leads it to compulsive.
What does treatment for compulsive gambling look like? Someone realizes they have a problem, or a loved one realizes someone has a problem. What does that treatment process look like for someone who is going through this addiction?
So they can call the 888 Bets Offline, and the Bets Offline will refer them to a treatment center. I think currently in Missouri, there's only 6 that currently do gambling counseling. And then they come to either individuals, group counseling, group education, and they meet like one-on-one with a gambling counselor, and we address many issues. The gambling, sometimes self-esteem is centered around it. Sometimes a sense of loss, abandonment, and sometimes people just like it for the excitement. So when they come, we address all aspects, financial, how it's affected them, because a lot of times they'll gamble and not pay their necessities. So normally, like with me, they meet with me once a week, and then to address issues going with that. If they're on like online betting, normally I ask them if they would be interested in downloading, like a app blocker that blocks them from gambling online. That and but it's kind of like you have to work with them at their pace.
So
Yeah.
it's an individualized treatment for the person. There's not one
One
fix
thing that
for
fits
everyone.
everyone,
Yeah,
correct. Right.
exactly. Okay.
And a lot of times you'll have a person who gambles who doesn't want to give up gambling. They want to maybe just be a safe better. So then you have to work with them on that aspect too. So it just depends on where they are and where they want to go when it comes to their gambling.
And I do have another question for you, for those who do seek help. Do you have advice or suggestions of maybe other healthy ways that they can maybe chase the feeling that they're trying to get through gambling?
Well, they have to find an alternative other than the betting, other than because, gambling is everywhere really. Um, you have to also have a family connection, I feel. That's why I think in Missouri they offer not only the gambler counseling, but they also offer the family members because sometimes it can affect the family members also. So they have to find something they did or something that they are find interest in that they did before they were gambling.
Yeah, addiction of any kind can really
Sometimes
cause
that can be really struggling.
a ripple effect there. Thank you for sharing that. So, how can folks get in contact with you, and just let us know how they can reach out? I know we have the Bets Off number, but if they want that individualized care that you can give.
They can call any of our FCC locations. Um, they can look up FCC Behavioral Health in any of their locations, and then they will put them in contact with me.
Awesome. And then also we have here that number 888 bets off that you reminded us of and that we've been sharing this morning as well. Julia, thank you so much for your time and being here with us today. And also stay safe out there with the weather.
Oh, you too. Have
All
a good
right.
day.
All right,
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. And with that, we're going to take another break and we'll be right back. quick. All right, folks, let's take a live look here at the Country Club Plaza as the snow comes down. And I'm sure, you know, it looks pretty from a window, but it's not looking too great out there on the roads. We have seen a lot of issues this morning, and just want to give you a quick look. We do have our maps pulled up here, our traffic maps. See if we can get a overall look at the metro right here. Take a look at this.
Oh.
I never want to see a traffic map like this in the morning.
No.
Like, this would be just a lot to
just
deal
keep
with.
in mind that you have the snow pulled up on top of it, and there's just snow everywhere. It's still snowing, and some heavier snow bands coming through. That's one of the things that Chief Meteorologist Luke Doris was talking about this morning, was some of these heavier snow bands and how they're affecting the drive this morning. And look how it's laid out there. That darker blue cover, just pretty much from the southwest corner of the 435 loop all the way up into Liberty. So again, it's a lot of heavy snow still coming down there, really affecting the roads this morning, Taylor.
Yeah, and looking at the icons here, we're seeing a number of crashes really just kind of looped around the area. I mean, not one spot on this map is even showing really a hint of green. I mean, maybe to the north past Liberty. A little lucky there, but it looks like no matter where you go.
Now, I set you up some speeds on here. If you want to
Let's
advance
see.
a couple of maps here through, we can get an idea just how fast some of these roads, or I guess I wouldn't say how fast, how slow some of these roads are moving. Like here on the Broussard Watkins, that's single digit. I can't see it from here. Was that 7?
That's 9 miles an hour.
9 miles an hour. They're up the Broussard Watkins. So again, just crawling northbound 71 highway there, and you can see how slow westbound I-70 is, and portions of 435 off the Triangle have been very slow. We've had numerous
2 miles
problems.
an hour. Look at that.
Well, that's where all those tractor trailers are just sitting there along northbound I-35 north of Cambridge Circle as you cross state line approaching Southwest Trafficway. Again, we had numerous issues up near the southwest corner of the downtown loop. That's what's causing that to be so slow. And you can see pretty slow here off of the Triangle. However, speeds are up there. What does that say?
Let's see. That's 35.
35.
So that's
So
not
that's
terrible.
about what Gabby Loomis says that they were driving along I-35 as they were heading south here earlier. But still just a lot of slow traffic out there this morning. And again, best advice we can give is you have to stay home. Go ahead and do that. But if you do have to get out, again, plenty of extra time. Expect plenty of slow speeds out there. Give yourself plenty of extra room between you and the car in front of you. Even if you do have four-wheel drive, you don't have four-wheel stop.
No.
And you will keep going because I can't remember the Isaac Newton's laws of motion. An object in motion will remain in motion,
Yeah.
you know? So it ain't going to stop very quickly out there when there's a bunch of snow and packed snow and ice beneath you. But we want you to be really careful. The advice my dad gave to me that I carry with me to this day is whenever you're driving out on snow and ice, you drive like there is an egg between your foot and the gas pedal and the brake pedal, and you don't want scrambled eggs on the floorboard of your car, Taylor. So you got to be real gentle on the gas and real gentle on the brakes while you're driving in snow and ice.
That's great advice from your dad, and it made me think of this, which is so silly because I feel like there's a SpongeBob reference for everything, but it was the episode where he learned how to drive.
Yeah.
And his big toe would come out of his shoe, and
Uh-oh.
he would only put his big toe on the accelerator, and he would drive smoothly. So I try to think like big toe.
It's a little big toe action there. Yeah, that might just give some good advice too. But we know the snow is causing some delays and cancellations, and even now early dismissal for a lot of the districts here around the city.
Yes, so we see a full list here on our website, and what we're seeing, if I can go through some of these here, Blue Springs, they're on virtual learning today, and also Kansas City, Missouri Public Schools, they're going to have early dismissal, and with the way that we've been seeing the roads downtown, it might take a while. Let's see, North Kansas City Schools, early dismissal.
Lone Jack, early dismissal there. I'm pretty sure I saw Turner in KCK is going to be on early dismissal as well.
Raytown.
And look at this. A lot of these are just starting to come in here within the last hour or so. So if you are looking for your school district, go to kctv5.com. Our web team is constantly updating these, so they're really changing by the minute here this morning as more and more people are getting to work or getting to school, and they're having these conversations with school administration, with district administration. They're trying to figure out how to safely get these kids home that have made it to school. So you could be on a delay, you could be on an early dismissal, you could be on virtual learning here for the rest of the day, kind of just dependent on the district. But again, want you to make sure you're keeping an eye on kctv5.com for all of those latest closings that we get from the school districts here around the metro.
Yeah, so just want to give you guys one more look at our road maps and what things are looking like at this point in time throughout the city. It is slow everywhere, slow going. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take another break, and when we come back, our meteorologist Warren Sears is actually out in the elements. He is going to give us an update. So with that, we will take another quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, everyone. Thank you for staying with us here again on KCTV5 Plus. Just want to give you another live look outside. So this is the plaza blanketed in snow after just all the snowfall we've been seeing this morning. Also our first snow of the season, and it has been really causing some issues on the roads. But as we've been getting continued reports, we've been hearing about accumulation, and we do have a team out all over the metro, actually. And one of those folks includes our very own meteorologist, Warren Sears. Hello, Warren.
Hi, Taylor. Yeah, here we go. Our first snow is underway. And you know what? Actually, right on brand, our average first snowfall in Kansas City is the 28th. So that would have been Friday, technically. But we are right on par with that normal first snowfall. So it's happening. It was a little bit earlier than our computer data was suggesting. So definitely added a little bit of an issue this morning on the roads. And now the roads just continue to deteriorate out there. So we are standing out in front of the station right now. Got Shawnee Mission Parkway back behind me. Thought we would just talk a little bit about the snow, the type of snow that we're seeing, and get you a fresh estimate of how much we've seen so far, at least here in Fairway. For the most part, I think it's a pretty widespread uniform accumulation that we've seen. So let's first talk about the snow type. And so when you pick up the snow, you'll notice it's real powdery, right? It's not packing well in my hands. This isn't good snowball snow. And oftentimes this happens when our air and our atmosphere is just a little bit colder. If your temperatures were closer to freezing, it would be more of a wet, packable snow. But really, we're just seeing kind of a powdery, more fine snowflake out there today. So that means your liquid to snow water ratio is actually pretty high. So it takes about, I would say, 12 to 15 inches of snow to equate down to about 1 inch of water. So that's the type of snow we're seeing. The good news is it actually is a little bit easier to shovel and move around because it's not quite as heavy. There's not as much moisture in the snow here. So that's one positive out of all of this, but it does tend to stack a little bit easier, and it does tend to have a higher yield of snowfall when it's fine and powdery. So I also want to get you a little bit of an estimate of what we've had so far here at the station. One thing I will say, find yourself a flat surface. So this is a curb that I'm using right here. And do not use the grass, because the grass, you can actually push the ruler too far into it. But this has been about 2.5 inches of snow, which is right on par with our forecast. We were thinking this morning about 2 to 4 inches. So we'll likely see some more stack up here over the next few hours. I think the heaviest is falling pretty much now and maybe in through the early afternoon. Then it'll slowly start to taper off, but the impacts on the roads definitely will still be felt. So that is something that we're going to keep very close tabs on. We have every single member of the First Warn 5 weather team here at the station today, helping you get through the first snowfall. It's not the biggest snow we've ever seen, but definitely enough to be impactful. We've already seen roads are an issue, and with temperatures well below freezing, we'll likely keep some of the snow around for quite some time. The evening commute is going to be slow, so definitely allow yourself a little extra time there. And if your district still has pickups, things like that, it's just going to be slow going the rest of today, but good sign that that snow should taper off by the evening commute, and then the later we go, we will be drying out. So that's a little update from me outside. We'll check back in with some fresh snowfall totals here with you guys in just a bit. Taylor, back to you.
That sounds good, Warren. I do have one quick question for you. You're near a road. How is it looking with folks out there where you are?
Yeah, so this is Shawnee Mission Parkway right behind us. Obviously a very well-traveled road, and you can see that pretty much everyone's going slow. Everything's packed, so the plows are able to keep up kind of, but basically there's a few lanes with just tire marks. You can't see the road markings, so that always makes it really challenging, really slow going. But everyone's traveling okay. What I have noticed, I just came into work not too long ago, sedans, front wheel drive cars, really struggling, especially on hills, and we've got such terrain around here. So I would say main roads are slow. The side streets, off ramps where you're going a little faster and need to hit your brakes, that's the more treacherous part of all of this. So definitely slow moving, but people are able to maneuver this, especially in SUVs, four-wheel drive. But just take it slow out there today. Hopefully you can enjoy the snow from inside of the house with a little hot chocolate action. That sounds kind of good to me. Taylor.
Yeah, that sounds good to me too. And also, I think I might need to go ahead and get that SUV, trade in that sedan for days like this.
Yeah.
All right, Warren. Yeah. Thank you so much. All right. And so with that being said, we're going to take another break, and you are going to soon hear again from meteorologist Stevie Stevenson with the latest on the forecast. I'll do a quick little. I'm about to ask Josh if they can. Thanks for staying with us here once again on KCTV 5 Plus as the first snow of the season is slamming the Kansas City Metro. We are taking a live look at Union Station from our city cam here. I mean, look at the visibility. You can hardly see past Union Station itself as snow is blanketing the ground. And we just saw our Warren Sears, and he picked up some of the snow for us and showed us that it's actually pretty soft, but it is accumulating a bit. Roads, depending on where you are, aren't exactly looking the best, especially if you use I-35 North. You might want to avoid that if you're headed toward this area, as we have seen a lot of semis are gridlocked on the interstate. So certainly take your time and be safe if you are out on the roads right now. And speaking of being out on the roads, our Gabby Luma, she has been giving us a live report all morning in the First 1-5 weather tracker. I know, Gabby, you said now you're on Shawnee Mission Parkway, kind of in the area of Quivira.
Yes, ma'am. So we actually just kind of switched up our plan. We're actually going to start heading southbound on I-35 now, just to give you guys kind of a look. Hopefully we can get going after this red light. There we go. To a look at these roads. But yeah, I mean, we actually just saw as we were coming up to a light here off Shawnee Mission Parkway, someone rear-ended another car. And it was just because they didn't give enough time to brake. So make sure you're just taking it slow, giving yourself plenty of time to brake, to make a stop, anything of that nature. But yeah, we're getting on I-35 southbound now, and the visibility is not great. These roads still pretty snow-packed, snow-covered. I know we mentioned it a bit ago, but I-35 northbound was not looking good at all. Pretty much a parking lot going through the downtown loop from Southwest Traffic Way, and you can kind of see some other cars. This one right in front of us got their hazards on, not sure where the lane is. We've seen a lot of that this morning, again, as the visibility is not great, but two, you can't really see the lanes on these roads, Taylor.
All right, Gabby, thank you so much for that report. I mean, even just looking right now at the roads and what we're seeing just looks pretty icy. So hopefully people are reducing those speeds, because all it takes is a second for you to slide or spin. All right, and again, that was our Gabby Luma reporting for us from our weather tracker. All right, so in just a few moments, we're going to have another weather update coming from meteorologist Stevie Stevenson.
All right, thank you for staying with us. Meteorologist Stevie Stevenson here. Let's take a look at the forecast itself. We've talked about road conditions. We've talked about what that snow feels like, what it looks like falling on the ground. But I also want to cover what we can expect for the rest of this first warn weather day. Now, in case you missed it or in case you were just now tuning in, we have an impactful snowstorm underway. It's already brought a couple inches of snow accumulations in and around the Kansas City metro and impacts. We're talking road closures, school closures, numerous accidents that we have all been tracking with you live this morning. I want to send you right outside to look at Union Station. Now, this is a look from the National World War I Museum and Memorial camera that shows you that snow has accumulated. I've been checking in with you throughout the past 3 hours here on streaming, and this already looks different out there. We can see that accumulation completely covering the grass, whereas it was not just a couple of hours ago. That snow continuing to fall and visibility down significantly too. So all those reasons and more is why today is the first warm weather day. This is our first accumulating snow of the season. While we're not a stranger to snow here in Kansas City and in the surrounding areas, it still is impactful, and we're seeing that in real time with those closures, with those hazardous road conditions that will unfortunately continue to be an issue all throughout our daytime hours and even into your Monday evening. So here's what we're seeing outside on radar right now. Over the past couple of hours, we've seen this heavier band push through. That started around 6 a.m. this morning and has led to earlier in a boost of snow totals outside that have now contributed to those earlier onset of these hazardous road conditions. Zooming in, you can see this stripe of darker blue pushing through the Kansas City metro. I want to bring in a little pointer so you can see that a little better. That blue area, that darker blue that you see here, now pushing towards and past I-35 off to the east. That's what's bringing us this next round of more moderate snowfall, lower visibility, and continues to add on to those accumulations out there. If we pause it at where we are right now, you can see, zooming out though, how the majority of the area is dealing with that snow. It's a snowstorm that has kind of made a beeline towards Kansas City and our area as a whole. So All of us are finding impacts from this today, and as I mentioned, already some accumulations of snow. National Weather Service is seeing this too. They have gone ahead and extended, this is new for you, the winter weather advisory to encapsulate our entire area. So mostly along and east of I-35 up towards this top right corner of your screen. These areas over here up towards Chillicothe, Grundy County, places like that. That's where the winter weather advisory will be in place until 9 p.m. this evening. But for the Kansas City Metro, along and east and south of I-70, that's where this other winter weather advisory is in place, but it ends a bit earlier at 6 p.m. Now, the counties that were included in this as of about 10:30 this morning are all to the south of I-70. Nothing has changed for the Kansas City Metro itself, but we do continue to be plagued by all the snow out there. So what continues to be the same is that we will still have snow most of the day and for the remainder of those daytime hours, but snow will start to taper off and pull out to the east in the evening time, but we are finding moderate pockets of snow at times, such as like what we're finding right now. But totals have really exceeded themselves this morning and originally forecasted because we had this morning burst of snow that pulled through right around 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. that primed the grounds, already got those snowflakes sticking to the grounds, the grass and the roads, and already started to sour those road conditions out there. Now, the First Warn 5 weather show later on this evening will explain what can enhance snow like that. But for now, I want to talk about what impacts we're also finding on the ground besides just those accumulations, which is incredibly lowered visibility. You can see in many spots that down to less than a mile. We've had many of our live reporters also comment on the lack of visibility out there. So not only is it slick on the roadways, but also it's really difficult to see ahead of you because of these low clouds, because of that snow that is falling very quickly out there. Now, in and around the metro as this time, we're looking at visibility of about a mile. If I show you the Country Club Plaza right now, that's very, very true out there. We could see it live and in action. A lot less cars on the road out there than there were just a couple hours ago as these road conditions and visibility has continued to get worse. So this is a problem and an aspect of this forecast that we are also tracking today. Moving through the rest of your Monday, here's where snow potential sits and will develop into the evening time. It's at a 90 to 100% right now. Of course, it's actively snowing. It will continue to snow for the next 2, 3, maybe even 4 hours at around this rate before starting to slow down into the late afternoon and evening. I do think up until about sunset, this is pretty much more of the same, more of what we're going to be seeing, but then into the evening time, that's when we find that snow slowing down, the accumulation rate slowing down, but of course the effects will still linger because just because it stops snowing doesn't mean all this accumulation is going to go anywhere. It will will still be below freezing through the afternoon too, but especially the evening time as temperatures take a dive to the teens. So it's going to be difficult to get rid of this snow immediately after it does fall on the ground, especially because we're seeing some higher accumulations even around the metro right now. So here's snow potential through the rest of your Monday as a whole. This is end of day snowfall that we're looking at here. In general, the highest snowfall does look to sit along I-70 into the north. Our computer has been spitting out the potential to find a heavier band just north of the metro, maybe clipping that northern edge of the 435 loop. Confidence on that is lower at this time, but if we do find that banding, then that does mean that we will find isolated higher totals north of the metro. But even in Kansas City right now, latest guidance is pointing to about 3 to 4 inches of snow accumulation, much of which has already started to fall. This computer is doing a good job at showing us about on time with what snow has already fallen. I've actually got some reports pulled up of what snowfall has looked like so far today. And you won't be surprised to know that over in Wyandotte County, an official has already reported 2 inches of snow. Elsewhere, we're talking Leavenworth County, 2.5 inches of snow. So this is doing a pretty good job of seeing how the snowfall unfolds and what we'll look to find through the rest of the day. Gets us closer to that 3 to 4 inch range in and around downtown and areas north of I-70. If you are south of I-70, overall you're looking to amount to less in that 1 to 2 inch range. Overall, that does mean that your impacts are lower but still there. This is still a widespread snow event, and we're going to be watching and analyzing snow totals as the day continues to unfold. This is what you need to know. We are at least talking 1 to 2 inches, but at the end of the day, those totals will remain mostly south of I-70. Then, highest potential looks to be closer to 4 to 5 inch, and that range up to 6 inches if that heavier band does set up north of downtown. But really, those isolated higher totals of that 4 to 5 inch range will be in isolated spots and not a widespread situation. But in the metro, most likely scenario here, end of day snowfall 3 to 4 inches, most of which, again, we've already started to accumulate. But through the rest of the afternoon, we will likely add to these totals as snow does continue to fall. Now, over the past few months, we've been putting together this winter storm impact scale to help us explain and show in a different way what impacts look to be based on what area you are in. This time around, the metro and areas north of I-70, where the highest of snowfall totals do look to be, is in the 2 out of 4 ranking on this impact scale. That's medium level. Areas south of that, but does include the rest of the viewing area, is at that lower level. But for those of us who are in that higher impact zone, we're talking light to moderate snow. Check, we've already seen it. Overall snow total 3 to 4 inches, but there's that small zone of 4 to 6 that I've been talking about possible just to the north. Slick roads, especially in the afternoon and evening, but that is already a problem out there. If at all possible, your best bet is to stay home. Though, as we look to the south and those who are just included in this 1 out of 4 impact level, I don't want you to count out your impact. It is still there. Still talking about slick spots on the roads and accumulations of 1 to 2 inches. This is not something that some of us are getting out of today. This is the reality for the entire area as we continue to add on to those snow totals and continue to find even more moderate snowfall all across the area, but especially the metro. So for Kansas City itself, through about 4 p.m., this moderate snow and hazardous road conditions will continue. Nothing really looks to change between now and then. But after 4 is when that snow will start to taper off. You won't see quite as much falling from the sky, but roads will still very much be a problem. They'll be slick out there. In the evening time, when we get more cars on the roads around that evening commute, some of the friction from the tires can help to warm up the roads to try to alleviate some of that accumulation and some of those slick concerns. But still, we are talking hazardous driving conditions. You need to be taking it very slow. Try to avoid the areas that we've been covering today where we've talked about a lot of crashes, shutdowns, blockages, things like that. Stay tuned in with us. We have a lot of great information on kctv5.com about that as well, but we'll continue to cover it in all of our newscasts, of course. Though in the evening, and we know that the evening commute home can already be hectic without snow. So considering that this could bring record-breaking snow for December 1st in Kansas City, you need to be very careful out there. And even if that snow isn't falling as much, or maybe it doesn't look as snowy anymore, still slick spots on the roads, very, very possible and going to be a reality for us, because 2 to 4 inches is possible to have already fallen by that evening commute. We've already achieved 2 inches in many areas of the metro. So slick roads, hazardous driving conditions, going to be a very real issue for us today. So please keep that in mind. Something else that I do want to show you is all the resources that we have up on kctv5.com. So you can see where on the homepage, if you click around, first we have this story that we are keeping fresh and updated for you. That is Maine right there, big on our home screen, that has up-to-date information, that has links to live broadcasts, closures, anything like that. Closures and delays, you can go up to that red banner towards the top of your screen. We're keeping that updated all around the clock. And if you're curious about what weather alerts are in effect from the National Weather Service, you can click there, read the bulletins that they have been putting out, what counties that includes, and what they're finding, as well as our forecast. But again, this story here on the homepage, and we have a couple others posted, will continue to keep you informed as we take on this very impactful start to December. Now let's take a look over towards our Security Bank 7-day forecast, because here's the silver lining with this whole thing. It's that after today, we really aren't dealing with any sort of precipitation chances for the rest of the week. Now, of course, that could change, but as of right now, signals are pointing to a dry rest of the work week, and one where on Tuesday and Wednesday at least we'll be able to be above freezing of 32 degrees for a couple of hours. But also what really helps is that that sunshine comes back. That will help melt a lot of the snow accumulation that we have lingering into your Tuesday. I do want you to keep in mind that tonight does look to get even colder than what we had last night. So down to 14 degrees is that morning low to start your Tuesday morning. So these cold temperatures aren't going anywhere, but you won't find snow falling on your Tuesday morning. Thankfully, we will dry out and eventually get rid of all this accumulation that has kicked us off on this wintry first day of December. After that, we keep precipitation, rain, and snow chances off the board all the way up to when we welcome the Chiefs back over at Arrowhead on Sunday. It's going to be a very cold game day. We'll be watching and updating that forecast for you if you are interested in that as well. But for today, make sure that you are staying very safe out there. Please take it very carefully, slowly on the roads. Give yourself some extra space on the road, and continue to stay tuned in with us as we bring you the latest. Taylor Johnson will be right back.
We are back here on KCTV5 Plus, giving you another live look outside at the Country Club Plaza as the first snow of the season is slamming the Kansas City Metro, creating issues on the roads. Also, we're seeing constant issues on side streets as well. And we've been having our Gabby Luma tracking all morning for us since around 6:30 this morning. So we're going to check back in with Gabby on how things are looking. So Gabby, where are you right now? And also, what direction are you headed?
Yes, Taylor, right now we are on Metcalf. We're to the 95th Street, I guess, intersection right here. We're heading towards like Leawood Overland Park area here on Metcalf. But these roads, not looking too awesome. I mean, you guys are pretty much seeing what I'm seeing out here, but lots of people going slow. We have seen, I will note, multiple other snow plows. We hadn't seen them for a couple hours this morning, but we were actually off of Metcalf, coming onto Metcalf from 35 South, and we saw a couple of snow plows on 35 and then also on Metcalf as well. Snow still falling pretty steadily out here, not necessarily as heavy as we saw over the last hour, but definitely still take it slow out here. I mean, if you guys can see up to my right, actually just saw another fender bender with those police lights over there. But I mean, just again, these streets not looking great. They're very slushy right now, so they could possibly be slick in areas. Also, other areas that are more snow covered could be slick, as you don't really know what is under it. And I just noted to you, Taylor, a few minutes ago, but we saw a fender bender happen when we were on Shawnee Mission Parkway. Someone ran into another car at that stoplight because they didn't give themselves enough time to brake and to stop. So just another reminder for all of you drivers out there. I'm sure many of you have driven in the snow before, but just some good reminders. Be sure, stay safe, go slow, especially if that visibility is reduced. Taylor?
Yeah, one thing is for sure, we can never be too sure when it comes to weather conditions, how we're able to handle the roads, or if our vehicle will be able to handle it. So Gabby, thank you so much for that report. What I do want to turn everyone's attention to is our scout camera, if I can close this really quickly. This is I-70 westbound near Van Brunt that we are about to take a look at. So look at this, bumper to bumper, pretty gridlocked, I should say, here on I-70. This is near the Jackson curve, and you can see these semis that are stuck here. This is also an issue that we have been seeing on I-35 as well for those who are headed northbound toward downtown Kansas City this morning. But it looks like eastbound is moving along just fine, but westbound looks like no vehicles are moving at all. And so I just want to also give us a quick look at the scout map here overall. So this is where we are able to access our cameras and also see where several different incidents are. So let's tune in here and see what else we can find. So this is I-35 southbound. And actually here at northbound, it says the left lane is closed due to a stalled vehicle. So let's take a look at that. So we see a stalled truck bed over there in the far right lane. Actually, it looks like multiple vehicles are stalled here in the middle of the interstate. So be mindful if you were headed southbound on I-35. This is coming away from downtown Kansas City. Let's also get another look at some situations here. So this is also near downtown I-70, I-35 northbound, actually near Paseo. So you're seeing folks are coming around the curve here just fine, but you especially want to be taking extra care if you have to use an off ramp or if you have to turn a curve, as it can be slippery and slick. Let's see here, another stalled vehicle. This is I-435 northbound at Eastwood Trafficway. Let's see what that's looking like here. All right, so I-435 is not looking too bad when it comes to slowdowns, or if we're seeing any vehicles that are kind of bumper to bumper like we've seen on I-70 just now. Let's see also. Okay, stalled vehicle near West Penway. Also I-35 northbound closed past Penway. Let's see how it's looking here. Yeah, so no vehicles are moving at all I-35 north. So keep that in mind if you have to head this direction, that you will want to avoid that area, as they are trying to work to get the streets treated here in our side roads as well. But also, to keep on top of these things, you want to visit our website, kctv5.com. This is where we have all of the updates, live updates, by the minute, by the hour on our snow totals as well as closures. We are starting to see some closures and delays for our school systems. Kansas City, Missouri schools, that's one that will be dismissing early today. We're seeing a long list of early dismissal today for students across the metro area. So keep that in mind on top of just any regular driving that you were planning to do, that it will probably become more congested as students are being let out of school. So we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to turn back to our coverage of sports betting being legal officially today in Missouri. We're going to talk with the BBB about some scams to look out for. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Thank you again for staying with us here on KCTV 5 Plus. And if you have not heard, sports betting is officially legal in the state of Missouri starting today. We gave you a look earlier at Argosy Casino where they had their sports book open. We also spoke earlier with a professional with help that you can receive for compulsive gambling or maybe even someone you know. But another important thing that we want to keep in mind is the possibility of gambling scams and sports betting scams. So here to talk with us all about it is our friend Josh Planos with the Better Business Bureau. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks so much for having me, Taylor.
Awesome. Okay, so just getting right into it, you had shared with me that the BBB did a study earlier this year on sports gambling and scams related to that. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, this is a strange new world for Missouri and a historic day. right? And that's exciting, right? That comes with a lot of excitement and a lot of opportunities. But it also comes, sadly, with a lot of confusion, right? If you've never navigated a BetMGM, a Caesars, a Circa, and those are just, the big players, to say nothing of all of these kind of offshoot sites, with you now able to bet online and in person. There are going to be a lot of opportunities that sound just like every other opportunity, but they aren't backed by a lot of real security. So this investigative study that we came out with tracked more than 16,000 complaints to the BBB from 2023 to 2025 in the states where legal gambling or gambling is legal. And a lot of what we found was that there were a lot of people who were not going through state-approved sports books, right? You want to make sure that there's an actual operator licensed. If they're not on that list, you don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. There's a lot of social media advertising around things like risk-free bets. There's really no such thing as a risk-free bet, and there's a reason why scammers turn to it. It's because they offer it as bait, right? And a lot of folks, sadly, unfortunately, experience not being able to withdraw their money as quickly as they would hope. So I would not treat any of these sports books like an ATM. Even if the money is increasing and decreasing, you are not going to be able to withdraw your funds as quickly as you would your own bank account. So it's helpful to know that going in.
And it's interesting that there is a scam out there labeled as risk free because you're taking a risk in gambling, right? Isn't that kind of the point of it?
Yeah, and it's just like, like cryptocurrency investment related fraud that we monitor. If there was no risk, more people would be doing it, right? And chances are that somebody wouldn't be trying to cut you in on the action because by definition it would come at the expense of them, right? So there's a lot of spam messages, a lot of you know put $5 down and get $200 in free points. And while that sounds great, and while a lot of the big players in the sports gambling space do these type of rewards programs, just know that the money is not going to seamlessly be able to be withdrawn without penalties. And there's a lot of small font that you really need to look over before you agree to any contract with any of these types of offers. And really, this is a good opportunity to get up to speed on even some of the language used in sports books, right? What's a parlay? What's a prop bet? What does any of this information actually mean? Know what you're signing up for before you sign up for it is a good way to avoid a lot of what is actually reported to us.
And I was taking a look at some of the data that is provided in this study. Really, year over year, the number of complaints that have been made to the BBB for either online gaming or casinos, and the total number for 2022. Look here, it says 1,104. But then, if you compare it to 2025 through the month of July, it's already surpassed that number. Over 1,700 complaints made. Why do you think that is?
Well, some of it, I think, Taylor, is that just the gamification of society is upon us, right? I mean, in 2022, you couldn't place bets on certain things that now you can. Now you can seemingly place bets on, what the cost of soybeans are going to be, in a month. You can really gamble in a lot of different ways that you couldn't, even 2 months ago. And certainly Missourians are going to experience that firsthand with, how do you make a sports wager, a legal one? How do you know if this company you've never heard of before isn't just a fly-by-night operator that just propped up kind of fake infrastructure to be able to take advantage of this new historic day in Missouri's history? At bare minimum, you should probably do a quick BBB search for that betting service or that handicapper. You can take 2 minutes to check if they don't have reviews, if they don't have complaints. But none of us want to be the guinea pig, right, in any of these experiences with any transaction. But a lot of us sadly sign up for it by not doing our due diligence and not doing a little bit of research into the company in question. So don't be the guinea pig. Do your research and make sure that this company is deserving of your time and consideration before you provide it.
And also, there's been talk about legal protections and guardrails and things like that. But for folks who don't have those and they lost funds and they try to recover it, is there any hope for them, or is all lost?
Well, I mean, it certainly depends on the transaction in question. You know, if you can put a credit card down versus a debit card, that's usually a good way to at least reclaim some of those funds under the like services not rendered clause within a lot of this the credit card contract language. But in a lot of cases, if a scammer isn't really interested in providing you with a form of payment where there's a safety net beneath you, right? So a lot of the transactions that come to us ultimately involve someone who is, you know, forced into a non-traditional payment method, and they really don't have stand any chance at reclaiming those funds. It certainly depends on the situation in question, and anytime you're going through a reputable sports book, they're going to give you more opportunities to reclaim those funds than, you know, kind of, you know, an offshore account or an account that really is not backed by anything. But you want to be careful with where it is that you lodge your money. And I think that that is true in sports gambling and that is true in life, right? Make sure that that company or that entity in question is deserving of your consideration.
That's important to keep in mind for sure. And so, just to kind of round it out, can we just go over again just some of the red flags that people need to look out for? And then also, they might not think it necessary, or it might not even cross their mind to report something like this to the Better Business Bureau. So, how can they go about doing that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that a lot of people associate the BBB with casinos, but we do provide complaint resolution, dispute resolution platforms for every industry imaginable, right? Some things to look out for, Taylor, prohibited bets. I believe you cannot provide player-specific proposition bets on games involving Missouri-based college athletes. So know that going in. If somebody is offering you that opportunity, know that that is something to avoid because legally you can't do that. I don't believe you need to be a Missouri resident to bet, but you have to be physically located within state lines to place a wager. So helpful to know if you're interested in, you know, maybe traveling to Kansas, you know, soon or into a different state or a different territory. You want to make sure that you're avoiding anything calling itself a risk-free bet because those flashy promotions are often too good to be true. Those are often used by scam websites to bait people into sending their money and never seeing it again. If you get spam messages like unsolicited pop-ups or emails or phone calls about amazing betting opportunities, delete them. Legitimate sports books, you know, they advertise, but they don't need to spam you to earn your business. And a really good strategy is to test withdrawals early on with smaller amounts of money. One of the biggest red flags that we see at the BBB is that a gambling site won't allow you to withdraw your winnings, and they'll make all kinds of excuses about technical problems. They'll demand additional verification. Sometimes they'll even ask you to deposit more money just to get your own cash back. So a really good test, put a small amount of money, let's call it $5, $10, whatever the bare minimum is, and try to withdraw it. At least then you know what the cadence is and the sequence that you need to follow to actually get your money out. Because none of us put money into a sports book and intend to walk away from it and leave it there forever, right? There's always a withdrawal that is coming at some point. So know what that withdrawal process looks like.
That's a really good tip to keep in mind. I feel like even when you sometimes connect like a bank account to another, like for a transfer, it'll do like a penny to make sure that
Mhm.
it's legit. So that kind of reminds me of that.
No, absolutely. And there's a reason why they have those, right? So you know exactly what you're signing up for. There's so much uh, fine print and so much delay in this space. You should at least know that going in because it's not going to be as seamless as you know, checking in on your checking or your savings account.
Yeah. Awesome. All great things to keep in mind. I know a lot of folks are excited, but we don't want to get too excited that we end up dealing with a scam. So thank you so much, Josh, for giving us that information today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Taylor.
All right. I'm sure we're going to see you again very soon. And with that, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
All right, thanks for staying with us. We are taking another live look outside. It is quite a snowy end to the morning out there. We've already seen multiple inches of snow fall in and around the Kansas City metro and just throughout our viewing area too. So we're continuing to watch the situation unfold as we navigate the afternoon hours as well. I want you to know that we will be here all around the clock today, keeping you updated, keeping you safe and informed as we take on our first snowfall accumulation of the season and our first warm weather day of the season too. So that's what today is, and that is why we are finding and tracking such high impacts of this snowstorm. It's our first accumulation. It's been very cold lately, so all that burst of snow that we found this morning has accumulated and stuck to the streets quickly deteriorating those road conditions, causing hazardous shutdowns, closures, and even wrecks out there. So we've been tracking all of that with you this morning. I'm going to take you to a KCTV 5 news at noon as we wrap up with this other look at our forecast. Then you can flip over there and we'll have an even more in-depth look from Chief Meteorologist Luke Doris, Meteorologist Warren Sears, and Meteorologist Mike Nico. Here's what we're finding outside on radar right now. It's these bands of snow, truly, that have just been plaguing our morning forecast. Now, where you see those darker blue colors, that's where the more moderate to heavy snow has been pushing through. We just had a band over the past 2 hours. You can see it there in action, really flare up right over the metro and downtown, dumping some snow with it, and now that is pushing off to our south and east. But if we look back to the north and west, where further snow is developing and coming from, this is another band that could set up and add further on to our snowfall totals this afternoon as we now wrap up your Monday morning. Though, know that even if we don't add quite as much snowfall on top of what we've already found this morning, as I've mentioned, road conditions already quite hazardous out there, and as we continue to stay well below freezing, we are going to find that further snowfall is possible and at this point likely. Here's how those snow chances play out over the next several hours. You can count on snow showers continuing through the majority of your daytime hours. Now that might start to let up just as that sun is going down and as we get back on the road for the evening commute, though with all that snowfall accumulation we've already dealt with and the fact that snow will be continuing to build upon that, it's looking to be a very hazardous and messy evening commute home. Even though the snow that's coming down from the sky won't be falling quite as much, effects of that snow and those accumulations will linger into the evening time. Now, the good news about this forecast today is that we're not dealing with any wintry mix or anything out there. If you're just now tuning in today, we've just had snow that still is highly impactful and leading to this first warm weather day and has created a lot of accumulation already. So let's break down snow potential from where we're at right now and then where we are moving forward. This is an estimation, but I like how it's pointing to close to 2 to 2.5 inches in the Kansas City metro as we get closer to 1 o'clock. That is in line with reports that we've already found. And as more snow bands do try to set up in the afternoon time, we could push closer to that 3 to 4 inch range in the metro and especially along I-70 and northward. That looks to be where we'll find the most snow at the end of the day today, while areas farther south from that are more so in that range of 1 to 2 inches. Now, we are all finding impact from this system today. There's no doubt about that. We are still all dealing with these snow showers, but the heaviest of the banding and where that sets up really dictates the highest of the impacts, which, if we look back at our winter storm impact scale, sits right over the Kansas City metro and areas north. Let me zoom back out there. That's where that 2 out of 4 medium level on the impact scale sits. We're finding hazardous road conditions, slick spots, and accumulations that will make the evening drive home difficult and school pickups difficult. So that's why online at kctv5.com we already have a list of closing early releases of schools around the area. So make sure to check that out if you have questions about that. Areas that are south of I-70 are mostly in this low 1 out of 4 winter storm impact scale level, which means that they're sitting more in that 1 to 2 inch range. But an important update for you as we approach this 12 o'clock hour is that with further bands looking to set up and that big burst of snow that we found just to start our day today, we have slightly adjusted our snowfall potentials through the rest of your Monday. At least we're still talking 1 to 2 inches. So that has not changed. The area for that has not changed. It is still south of the metro, whereas the metro sits at a higher level, though areas north of the metro, well, you could tap into even more than that. We've been tracking the potential for heavier bands of snow to pull through just on the northern side of downtown in the 435 loop into the northern areas of our viewing area. That's where we could find higher snowfall totals at that 4 to 6 inch range, but also in the most likely scenario for the Kansas City metro itself, we are now talking 3 to 5 inches of snow. That's based on trends and what we've seen so far as fallen to the ground, and as we look ahead towards more forecast totals rather, as more heavy bands of snow may try to set up in the coming hours. In general, these are the snow updates that we're tracking. If you remember this morning, maybe you were up a bit earlier around 6 or 7 o'clock, especially over in Johnson County, Kansas. Morning bursts, bursts of snow started to boost those snow totals. That's what's provided us with a higher floor to build upon with those end of day snow totals. And we already dealt with a lot of slick spots during the morning drive, though looks to be the worst road conditions of the day in the afternoon and evening, because first of all, even more snow looks to develop, but also we're going to stay very cold out there. So slick spots, icy spots will still be able to maintain that status. And even though this isn't a huge snow, we're no stranger to snow here in Kansas City, this still is already proving to have impacts that will last all around the clock today. Speaking of which, let's look at this timeline for you. From now through 4 p.m., the story's the same. It's moderate snow that we've already been tapping into and hazardous road conditions. But after that, snow will start to let up. We'll find more light showers to snow flurries, but the roads, those conditions aren't going to change. And in fact, they're likely to be even worse than what we have right now. So they'll still be slick. They will still be very hazardous to drive on, especially as we're all getting home for the evening commute, getting on the roads. Then we already know it can be a little hectic without snow. So this is just even more of a reason to be very careful on the roads, take it slow, and give yourself a lot of space out there, especially when it comes to overpasses and bridges, because those tend to be the coldest and therefore the most slick. That's the evening time as we wrap up this impactful day with this impactful storm, with still accumulations on the ground and hazards on the roads. Now let's look back at what radar is showing of this snow over the past couple of hours. If you're maybe just now checking in, we had this heavier band set up over the metro, downtown area, and essentially all from north to south and east to west on that 435 loop, but that has now started to let up and push out to the east and south. But behind it, more snow bands are developing and continuing to stream in from the west. That's what could deliver us further snowfall in the coming hours, and that's why we're continuing to track this all around the day for you. So reminder, we have a first warn weather day in place, so that means that we are tracking high level impacts, not just with the snow that's falling on the ground, but also I want to draw your attention to the fact that current visibility is incredibly low out there. So it's not just the slick roads, it's also looking out your front window. It's hard to see, and even if we check around at some live cameras, that becomes even more apparent. This is the Country Club Plaza It shows us where snow is continuing to fall, clouds and snow showers continuing to cloud up that visibility and bring it down to about a mile to a mile and a half. But also looking around the area even further, we have a look from the National World War I Museum and Memorial as snow continues to fall down. That also clouds up the sky there. This is a testament to what downtown Kansas City looks like right now and how visibility continues to stay limited out there. So let's get you one last look at your Security Bank 7-day forecast, where we have that first warm weather day in place today. But through the rest of the week, we will start to get rid of that snow potential. Of course, any precipitation chances do stay off the board all the way into Sunday, and that's when we then welcome the Chiefs back to town. Again, stay tuned in with us all day today. We'll continue to bring you the latest, and now we're going to send things over to KCTV 5 News at noon.